All right, let's see what we can do. It's sort of a fish. We got it. Oh, hey. Yeah. I just saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and oh man, was it a good film. As you can see, I've decided to pull out my Proton pack, and wait, hold on. My things. I'm probably gonna have to do Ghost the House now. They're a little pissed. Well, anyways, movie was really good, and as you can see, we captured one. There's a couple of things that AMC was giving away. This is, of course, the used but Ghostbusters Frozen Empire soda thing. I spent a good chunk of money on the movie. I'm not going to complain. It's pretty good. This is a review after all. As you can see here, it's got two separate faces. You just like, take the head off and boom, there you are. Nice straw. Actually, pretty decent amount of size on the inside. So there's that. You just decide who you want. Goes right through the hat. Just snaps on and boom, you're set. This was one of several things that they were selling at AMC. Um, one of them was, of course, the trap that has this thing going up with a light on the bottom. That's your popcorn box. There's a couple of other glow in the dark cases, and there was a ton of. I mean, just a ton of well, traps. They're freaking everywhere, man. Yeah, there, there was a lot of stuff there. I'm still getting used to the new mask. I do love the feel and the look. Ooh, so smooth. Anyways, moving on. Uh so what do I have to say about the movie? Freaking awesome. The movie well, actually, I should cover a couple of things before I even get to the movie because this was stuff that happened as I was, like waiting. So first of all, saw a bunch of the posters and stuff. Got, of course, that my popcorn, some Sour Patch Kids, and then I saw the posters of stuff coming. I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. And then I saw Shrek's coming back to the theaters and Shrek 2 for 25th anniversary, and then Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace is coming back. I was like, okay, that's totally new. And then we finally get in, we get to our seats. See, look here, here's my ticket. Row H10. Um, I had to like go back and ask, where does it say on this ticket? Oh, there it is, number 8. The light of the theater was very difficult to see that 8 and a couple of other things, and they ultimately pointed me in the right direction. Thank God I got in, got to my seat. As for the theater being packed, it was pretty packed. In the row I was in, there was only about 2 or 3 seats that were empty. And only like the front of the theater, like the first 2 rows, those were like the only ones that were not filled with people. But there were a few people there. It was actually pretty well filled. And I realized this movie was hot. Everybody was either like, holy crap, or they were laughing their asses off at the film, which is a pretty good sign. As for trailers, I saw Fall Guys trailer. I saw the Garfield trailer. There were a couple of other ones that are like, I don't really want to discuss them. There was this tarot movie that was pretty cool, but I got to see Beetlejuice's teaser trailer, which was really cool. I mean, they did the whole deal kind of thing cool, which is pretty cool. What about Frozen Empire? Well, I'm not going to spoil the movie, but I'm going to tell you some basics. First off, the film actually opens. We've seen little tiny things of this in the trailers. It opens up in 1904 at the firehouse. Literally, the actual Ghostbusters firehouse is central to this story, no matter what. And we see the fire, the horse-drawn carriage that they use to fight fires, come flying out of the firehouse, and it goes to this place for some adventurers group or something. Yeah, like there's always some group like that that does something, and they get in, and the firemen are about to go in, and they stop and they see smoke or ice crystals coming out and they go right back in, kind of backdraft stuff. And one of them puts his hands on the door and is like, it's cold, and then his hand literally gets stuck to the door, and you see the ice forming down his hand, and they have to like rip him off, and then they start just hacking their way in. And as soon as they get in, we see dudes, all of these old rich dudes at the time, frozen solid. They're like, oh, and stuff. And one dude who was like turning this crank on one of these early audio devices. It was like right around the time the original records were coming out, but these were wax cylinders, basic same principle of technology. And the dude was like frozen solid, except his hand, this part of his hand to there is like missing, and it's on the wheel. It's going pretty cool, and it's like both funny and freaky at the same time, and a little scary. And they set up a major point with one of the characters. It's just real quick, but it was a lot of fun. There's also this quote about fire and ice. I won't say any more about that. I think you should see the film and actually read it. I kind of wish I was in a closer row so I could have seen everything, but at least I was, like especially like fine print stuff, but it was fine. Then we jump to the present and we jump to the Ghostbusters, hunting Ghostbusters. It's a scene, we've seen in on YouTube, that they've quickly posted for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. That whole sequence with the jersey, whatever thing, shooting manholes up. Pretty nice sequence. Then we get to meet, of course, uh, the man who Bateman's like, yes, this man has no dick. You know, our famous EPA guy who is now very high up. I won't spoil how he's in the film, but oh god, I hate this guy. But it was good to see him again too, because you're like, whoa, he's up to something. You just know it. And we see that the Spanglers have moved. It's set about 2 years later, after the events of Somerville of Afterlife. Um, you have Phoebe, who's now a full teenager, and Finn is now officially Finn Wolfhard's character is now officially a young adult. He's 18, so he still can't get alcohol or smokes, but that's okay. Or go gambling like here in Vegas. But you see this as stuff, and it's actually pretty fun. Paul Rudd's characters become more involved with the family. I'm not going to spoil any more of that. In fact, I was like trying to figure it out because they were just like they were hinting at it until later on. Works pretty well. You have them all becoming Ghostbusters, and that's the thing we learn in the film. They're basically the field assets. They're the assets who go out and catch the ghosts. We also have the research and development areas, which are in two separate divisions. You have the group that's with Ray at Ray's Occult Bookstore, and podcast is there with him, which I thought was great. And then you have, of course, the research and development in this like place that was done for stuff. It was really fun and impressive, and it made these characters a lot more fun. And the thing is, you also see the family dynamic with the Spanglers. They're trying desperately to not only still catch ghosts, but also to try to develop things with each other. And there's also some funny quotes and stuff, including some things that harken back to Afterlife with them too. I'm going to add, and you see that Ecto One is, despite being restored, she's having her issues. Even the firehouse is in need of some repairs, and um, of course, our favorite EPA guy from the first movie, he's like, yeah, I want to condemn your building so badly, it's pretty bad. He can't take them out just yet, but he's really causing issues. And eventually, this guy comes in, brings this orb along with his family's junk, trying to make a quick buck off of Ray, and we start to realize all hell's about to break loose. In fact, literally, when they put one of the the EPA, forget what exactly called, the ghost detection device. Damn, I can't even say what it is right now. It literally shatters itself. It blows up. It's pretty cool. Needless to say, this character becomes kind of important to the story of the film and everything else. It starts to come in and stuff, and we just see how all of this just starts to pan out. And what I love is that in the case of Phoebe's character, she's going into her rebellious teenager phase. She's a young girl. She's trying to figure stuff out, and everything just keeps happening. And she eventually meets a ghost who she plays chess with. um, and it's a pretty good banter. You can tell that there's like a burgeoning friendship there. I think some people were probably going to expect other things to happen, but can't really happen like that. She's dead and Phoebe's alive, but it does make for a more interesting point of view. And we learned that this lady has not passed on. She died in a fire, and it was pretty cool the way they did it, how they did all this stuff. And one of the things she wants to do is see her family. And Phoebe, remember she's dealing with everything that happened, including unfortunately Peck. Yeah, that's the character's name. Now I remember. And he's like, nope, you're not even 18 yet. You're not being paid. You're not an intern. You are officially benched until about 3 years more. So there's that. And as time's progressing in this orbit with the Ghostbusters, they start to realize something's very, very wrong. And then all hell breaks loose. You have more ghosts becoming interesting. You have stuff breaking down. You have the ghosts trying to break out of the containment unit. And then we realize from, the original event in the first film that all kinds of hell has broken loose and it's getting worse, and other things like that. We even learned there's a new containment unit somewhere else, which is freaking massive, and it just made for a heck of a film. And the way the film ends is reminiscent of the first film in a few departments, some little Easter eggs back, but also sets up with our new villain. And our new villain is actually a dangerous threat. He's manipulative, he's dangerous. It takes time to learn his story, which is really cool. And eventually, all the Ghostbusters that are able to come back to do stuff. And I thought it was great. They bring in certain characters from time to time and they set their tones. They set their tones well. Vakeman, for example, is still Vakeman, and he pops up a few times in the movie before the ending of the film. Um, Ray and Winston are much more in the film. This is really their sort of point, both being mentors and also trying to develop things. Winston is definitely trying to take stuff to the next level, and Ray is like he still wants to be heavily involved, and that's one of the things. And then you also have Ray and Phoebe bonding because Ray is retired, almost forcibly in a way, and Phoebe can't even do anything until like 3 years. They want to do stuff, but they can't. And it's a great bonding moment for them, including with podcasts in the middle. And it makes their characters great. And you literally see Ray sort of feeling what Egon's character was basically in the backstory for Afterlife, what he was going through when he tries to tell Winston there's something bad coming. And it's a great story. You have this young girl trying to find friends and also trying to, she's found her calling and yet she's not allowed to do her calling. And you have Ray who knows what his calling is, yet he also has to be a mentor, and yet he still wants to be involved in the action. And it makes for those characters very good. And then, of course, you have, Phoebe's mom and Mr. Gruber, and, they're still trying to find their place in their relationship and also with Phoebe and and her brother, and it's very difficult. And then, of course, you have this whole threat of the end of the world. And yeah, I'm going to say it right now. This villain is actually dangerous. People do die in this movie. I'm not kidding. And the Ghostbusters, they really do realize this is like something on a whole nother level they've never dealt with before. He's completely different. And this is where one of the characters who kicks all this off comes in handy. And even he's like, oh, God. There's also just these great comedy moments that would come out of real life. And I just love how even the villain's like, really? Seriously? It just works. There's so much here that makes this film so cool and so effective. The visual style is there, the actual characters are there, everything that happens is there. I actually found myself really, 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 really enjoying this movie. I don't care what those critics say. This was a good movie. I recommend this movie. Is it going to be for everybody? No. And that's the thing. I can't really explain too many more things because if I do, I give away major plot points. I reveal a little too much. I mean, there's stuff I want to talk about, but I can't, not without going into a spoiler, and this is not a spoiler video. And that's the real problem. I will say, though, everybody gets their moments to shine. The film actually works very well. And as you can see here, there's Very good little merchandise. This is going to be pretty nice. I could just put him up as a display item, even if I never, use him again as a drink thing. That's pretty cool. There was also, believe it or not, a stuffed Slimer and a stuffed ghost and the ghost and the no ghost symbol there, which I kind of wish now I had bought, but I, yeah, I didn't feel like dragging it around all over, especially since it's a chore for me to go to that particular theater to see my movies. So this was like an almost all day event. I mean, I didn't get back to like it's like 3 o'clock now, the time I'm making this video, and I went at like 9 a.m. Ah, it just figures. But it is a good movie. I recommend it happily. It's definitely a 4 out of 5 for me. I really do recommend it. It's not going to be for everybody, but it is a damn good movie. I enjoyed it. They played up everything just right. And it's all perfect in my opinion. And I actually was impressed that there was a very good human story with these characters. The ghosts are actually funny. Oh, and Slimer and Finn Wolfhard, Trevor, they are just perfect characters here. They've got a sort of Vakeman Slimer vibe going on, and yet are very different, and it's just kind of cool. There's also some really dangerous ghosts in this film. I'm going to say that right now. We also get some good cameo ghosts too. Definitely worth a watch. Have fun. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notification. And also leave your own recommendations for the movie in the comments, but no spoilers, please. Thank you. Have a good day.